Okay, so would you believe me if I told you that I just drenched my face in water and this is the same makeup? Well, you should, because that's how seriously I take these foundation reviews. I hate wasting money. I don't want you to waste money. So we're testing the brand new Fenty Beauty foundation launch in today's video. This just called my name. It sounds amazing. Fenty Beauty seems to really deliver in the performance category. So it claims to be waterproof, sweat resistant, and you bet we're gonna put that to the test and see how it lives up to those claims, because I don't like false claims either. No lying around here. I will not tolerate it. Anyway, thank you so much for being here. Make sure you are subscribed so you don't miss my next video. It's a great free way to support my content. You can also give this video a thumbs up, and you can also give me a super thanks, which is near the thumbs up button, which is that little heart icon. Great way to directly support my content without anyone else getting a cut of it. And if you are so kind to give me a super thanks, I will give you a shout out in my next video. So today's shout outs are from Leslie Collier. She said, appreciate your videos, thanks. Thank you so much for being here and for being so kind. Really appreciate you watching my videos. I really hope you enjoy them in the future. But without further ado, let's go ahead and get started. All right, let's start and put this little beauty to the test. Fenty Beauty, that is. This is their Soft Lit Naturally Luminous Longwear Foundation. This is actually my first experience with a Fenty foundation product, so I'm really excited to share with you what I've been thinking of it. I'm really impressed with this packaging. I think it is beautiful. It's a glass bottle. You probably just get the standard 1 ounce of product, 1.08 fluid ounces. It has this 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 octagonal, right, or hexagon, beautiful bottle with that kind of shape to it with a white cap. The bottle is glass. You pop off the top and you do have a pump. The shade that I have is 100. So let's see what this product is claiming so we can put all the claims to the test. It says it's a long wearing medium coverage foundation that gives golden hour glow in a bottle. Very interesting. We'll touch on that in a little bit. It hydrates, brightens, and improves the look of skin tone immediately and over time while resisting sweat, humidity, and transfer. It also says that it's waterproof and reduces shine for a notch above natural finish. So the coverage level's medium, finish is natural, and it is a liquid formula. It did say it's going to give you golden hour skin in a bottle. It says that it's waterproof, sweat resistant, humidity resistant. If you saw my last Urban Decay Vice Bond review, that claimed to be waterproof. We put that to the test. We're going to put this through those same thorough tests to see if this is worth your money or not. In true Fenty fashion, they have tons of shades. I believe they have 50 of them. So I was really excited picking out my fair shade because they did have quite a few fair options. I did get the lightest shade, which is called 100, which is described as a neutral undertone. I went on the swatches and it looked like it had the best undertone. It looked neutral, a little bit warm, not too pink tone like the next shade, Cool Pink, look. Let me swatch this next to my other shades in case you need a reference point. So here is the Fenty shade 100. This has a very true, I would say, neutral tone to it. It pulls maybe slightly peachy, ever so slightly, but I don't feel like it's too bad. And then let's swatch my About Face neutral shade. Oh, this one's actually a little bit darker. So you can see that the Fenty shade, she is fair, which is really exciting to me. Also go ahead and swatch the About Face Fair Olive shade, which clearly out of all of these, you're getting the olive undertone. This one is honestly looking like white next to these. Also compared to my MAC Studio Radiance in NC5 because I feel like this is the lightest foundation that I've tried. Here is the MAC NC5 on the bottom. Very interesting. See that MAC one definitely has more yellow in it. Fenty has more of this neutral, slightly peachy tone. About Face neutral, a little bit warmer, and then this one is like a yellowy olive tone. It does say to shake it before you apply it, so of course we're gonna do that. I'll be starting with just one pump of the product. Start with 3 dots on that side of my face. I will be using my sponge to apply this. And let's start to bounce that in. So this does claim to give you medium coverage and natural finish, which for me, for foundations, sounds perfect. I love those two combinations of claims. So right off the bat with the sponge, it's giving me pretty good coverage. I would say like maybe a notch above the About Face one, depending on how much I'm using. Start over here. Still have quite a lot of the product left on the back of my hand. She is looking very, very pretty with just that first layer. Shade wise, when I first got this, I was like, this is gonna pull way too pink on me. And it is like slightly cool toned for me, which is such an easy fix. I can always just put a slightly more yellow powder on, which I will be doing with the powder I'll be using. But yeah, like the actual like shade of it, like the lightness of it, I feel like is one of my closest matching foundations I've ever tried. Granted, the tone is slightly off, but once you see it with the rest of my makeup on, I think you're gonna agree with me that it is a really nice shade. I could probably try the yellow undertone shade. I'm not sure if that's gonna be light enough. I might buy that and maybe mix it up for the summer, because this might be actually a little bit light for my summer shade. But now that everything is on, like, I'm really happy. This is a beautiful, I would say true medium coverage. And I try to just build it up a little bit by using probably like a half pump more, and I'm just gonna dab it on the areas I want a little bit more coverage. It did a really good job at covering my scarring and everything. I feel like it just gives you this very beautiful, even look. I feel like it actually has coverage. I feel like most foundations that are claiming to be medium, they're just so light. In regards to the finish, I would say that it's very skin-like, slightly luminous. It's definitely not dewy or glowy. I think the way that they named this foundation was very smart. I love this finish. It's one of my favorite finishes of foundation. It just makes you feel so good about your skin. Like, it just looks like really healthy, moisturized skin. It does also say to be oil controlling, so this just sounds honestly like the perfect combination of things. I am really loving how it looks. I think my skin looks so perfected. It doesn't feel like anything on my skin either. Very lightweight. Also seems like it's totally capable of being built up to full coverage. Also, there's no fragrance in here, at least that I didn't notice, and nothing that seems to irritate my skin either. So very promising for sensitive skin. I love that. No SPF either. No just like random additives that not everyone wants in a foundation. It does say that it improves your skin over time, so I'm guessing there is some sort of skincare ingredient. Okay, it has some fruit and a root extract in there. I'm guessing those are the skincare benefiting ingredients. Not 100% sure, but usually that's what those are. To finish up the rest of my makeup, so I'm gonna use my Flower Beauty under eye corrector and just do probably my Haus concealer, which is a bit more yellow as well. Should help to take this undertone to a better place. Been really liking this corrector actually. As I mentioned, Haus concealer. This is the shade Fair Golden 02. Just a little bit of this because I feel like the skin is already looking so good. I feel like if you use this foundation with a brush, you would really maximize its coverage. Like, it's almost leaning more towards full coverage, or maybe my view of it is skewed because I've been trying so many foundations that claim to be medium that are more like light sheer formulas. I don't know who to believe at this point, who knows. I would say this is a true medium though. And then let's go in and set with my Mercier powder. It's like a jumbo size I got that I'm not sure I'll ever be able to finish, but at least I won't run out. I'm taking that powder under my eyes, also onto the sides of my nose, right into the nose crease in the smile line. I think we'll do a very light layer over the rest of the face. Now once I have this powder on, should be evening out the tone a little bit because the Mercier powder I don't feel like is truly translucent. It does have a slight warm like yellowish tint to it, so it always does tint my foundations slightly darker, which in this case is actually a good thing because this one was a little bit light and a little bit peachy. Still see that I have like my redness showing through a little bit. I feel like it's the perfect natural type of coverage. It's looking beautiful set down, no issues there. I still feel like the luminosity shows through a little bit, which I really like. Keeps it nice and natural looking. I'm gonna use the RMS bronzer in Beachwalk Betty. This was sold out. I'll have to check and let you know when it is back in stock. I just want to use this because I use this in my Urban Decay video as well, so we'll keep it the same. That looks great. Thank you, son. Sorry if the lighting keeps seeming different, by the way. The sun comes out and then I have to change my camera settings, so kind of messes with everything, but hopefully with the whole application things were relatively consistent, so I did put quite a lot of bronzer on. Now I'm also going to use the RMS blush in French Rosé. If you do want to get anything from RMS, make sure to check out my code that I have with them so you don't have to pay full price. It's always in the description box below. Yeah, this blush, love it. Super pretty, super glowy. I feel like the skin is just going to be very luminous and glowy today. I'll also throw on some of the Haus Moonstone highlight, which is this gorgeous silver shade. Gorgeous. Ooh, glowy. See, shade wise with the Mercier powder, like pretty dang good. It's so funny doing your makeup just knowing you're gonna drench it in water and sweat. I do it for you. Okay, let me go ahead and finish up the rest of my makeup and then we'll get through to the stress test of this foundation because we're gonna get into it. Like, we're not skimping on those claims, so I'll see you there. This is not at all how I plan to do my makeup. It's one of those days where it's like, your eyeliner's really thick. Did you plan on doing that? It's like, yeah, totally. I wasn't just like, you know, trying to even them out and then it ended up this way. It was for sure intentional. So because of that, I feel like I did get fallout when I was doing the rest of my makeup and I sort of like picked up the foundation. That's why I usually don't do first impressions. This is not a first impressions. I have used this foundation before. I was swiping the fallout away and I feel like it did texturize the foundation a little bit. And I also used the liquid lash extensions from Thrive because I figured it would be more waterproof than my Maybelline one. Oh wait, doesn't this come off with water? Oh, okay. We're gonna have to cover our eyes for the water test, I think. Oh my gosh, just one of those days, you know. It is 1:12. Everything is looking pretty good so far. As I mentioned, I did sort of mess the foundation up a little bit, just slightly though. I got my spray bottle locked and loaded. We are ready to just get into it, so let's do it. All right, here's what it's looking like in quite unflattering natural light. Hopefully you can see it is a really beautifully smoothing foundation. See a lot more of my like skin texture here, but it still looks very beautiful and just perfected and flawless, but it's not immune to the water test. So this is gonna go how my Urban Decay one went. I'm gonna take this mystery bottle, really thoroughly drench my face in water as if I were to just like dunk my face, go swimming, that kind of vibe. And then we're going to pat it off and just see what kind of transfer we have. I do have powder and bronzer and blush on, so we'll keep that in mind, but let's get drenching. That's a weird catchphrase. I don't know why I said that. I'm also gonna try to cover my eyes this time so I don't ruin my eye makeup. Wish us luck. Woo! Okay, that was definitely enough. Should be just dripping off my face. Oh, thank you, sun, ruining my shot again. Hold on. Okay, we have to hurry. It's dripping down my neck. I have white tissue this time, so we should see anything that comes off. Let's do my chin because that doesn't have any bronzer or anything on it. Whoa! Okay, I was like totally expecting something to come off. What? That's kind of crazy. A little bit of my lipstick there, but there's nothing coming off. Once I went onto my neck, I do see a little bit of makeup. I can't tell if it's the bronzer. It might be because I didn't like really set my neck as much. So that's interesting. I think powder might be really helping the fact that this is super waterproof so far. It's in really good standing for the waterproof test because we didn't get really any transfer and the integrity of the foundation still held up because it still looks really pretty on the skin. So it still needs to pass the sweat test though because it does say it's sweat resistant, humidity proof. We're gonna test that because sometimes that's where foundations can really start to just break down if they start to run off of your face. So far so good with everything, looking really good. Waterproof test was a thumbs up. Let's get to that sweat test.
Am I sweaty enough, you two?
I think too much actually. I look naked, I swear I'm not. Just to clarify. Okay, let's test this. All right, I've got my clean tissue again. Let's start with this forehead sweat because there's a lot of it. Don't really see anything coming off. I will say, I don't know if you could see it in the crease of my nose is actually like pretty cakey, like there's a big crease there. So I don't know about that. See if that comes off. Yeah, so just right in the crease of my nose, I don't know if you can see that like right there. Just like a little bit of buildup of, it seems like the powder and the foundation just got like a little cakey in there. That could also be my concealer though, blended down. But yeah, there's just something, you know, not totally sweat proof. I think it did say sweat resistant though and not sweat proof because I wouldn't say this is sweat proof because of what happened around my nose. The only other thing to note is there's also a little bit of settling in my smile lines. With it dabbed off though, like still pretty decent. It's mostly on my face coverage wise. It just did get a little bit cakey around my nose. If I were to, sorry my battery died in that last clip, but time to wrap things up and share with you my full developed thoughts of the new Fenty Luminous foundation. I'll throw in the close-ups now, and I will say that this is the worst the foundation has ever weared on me in my experiencing testing it all last weekend. But even though this is the worst that it has worn, it still is a pretty decent wearing foundation, and I really chalk that up to the fact that I sprayed my face with water and then also did a workout in it and dabbed all of that off. So of course it's going to break down the foundation and all of the powders that are on your skin. But when I'm wearing this bad boy just on a regular day without sweating or dunking my face in water, it wears astonishingly beautiful. I don't say high praises to foundations a lot because I have very high standards and a lot of them are disappointing. This is so incredibly beautiful because it gives you that luminous finish, but it doesn't get too oily by the end of the day. So if you have combo skin, I would say if you just have liked similar foundations to me in the past, I think you're going to absolutely adore this foundation. I haven't put this down since I first got it. I think everything from the packaging to the shade, like I mentioned, I might end up picking up the next like warm undertone shade for the summer, but for now this really works for me. And speaking of the undertone, I've actually also tried it with the CoverGirl color correcting serum and primer, which is this green shade. It's like a green yellow shade. So these combined are beautiful. This adds a little bit of smoothness, and this also adds just that slightly olivey yellow undertone that I need into this foundation. These two, such a beautiful, beautiful combo. I've also tried it with the Surratt Perfectionist Primer, which is a very mattifying, like smoothing primer. Also, these two together, I do not really get oily at all with these two, which is kind of crazy. So it also seems to be versatile in that sense that if you want to use more of like a satiny primer, maybe something with a little bit of color correction, or if you need a more matte primer, it's adaptable. And the shade just mixed with a little bit of green or yellow is so perfect. So if you have a similar skin tone to me, this one is a really, really good shade as well. So I want to mention wear-wise, even though there's a tiny bit of bunching around the mouth, and we got it around the nose after I worked out with this foundation, on a regular day's wear, this does not bunch up around my chin really at all, which a lot of foundations do. That tends to be the #1 area where foundations will break down because you're moving your mouth. You know, there's just like these areas that like to settle, and I also have acne scarring, so that just creates the perfect storm for foundations to get cakey on, and this one has not been doing that, which really makes me so happy because I feel like the last couple foundations we tried have not been the best. I know a lot of you also love the About Face foundation like I do and maybe bought it off of my recommendation. So I want to talk about how these are similar and maybe a little bit different. To start off, the About Face one, this one is a little bit of a lighter coverage formula. I feel like they offer a very similar finish, like they're very, very skin-like. This one is maybe ever slightly more luminous. This one is just very skin-like, but I think both these feel very lightweight. This one does wear longer on me. This one still wears a great amount of time. I would say this is still a great everyday foundation that I will be reaching for. But if I feel like my skin's maybe not looking the best, or if I want a more like perfected, smooth look, I will be going for the Fenty. I think both of these are amazing to have on hand. And I think if you like the About Face one, I think you're a really good contender for liking the new Fenty foundation as well. And then lastly, in terms of the application, I love it with a sponge personally. It's just really easy to apply. But I have tried it with a brush, and if you try it with a brush, like you're gonna get max coverage out of this thing, like medium to full coverage. And then I also want to touch on the claim that it says it's golden hour in a bottle. When I first heard that, I was like, please. I was like, I don't really know what that means. Like, I don't, whatever. But I actually get what they're saying with that, because you know when you like take a picture in golden hour or you're in the golden hour light and your skin just looks super smooth and perfected and glowy, like I feel like that's where they were going with that claim, and I would say that is true. So the claim of being waterproof was true. I don't think it claims to be sweat proof, it just claims to be sweat resistant, which is how I would label it as well, is that it's not going to come off of your face like totally, but it's definitely not gonna like really stand up to sweat. Can't speak to the humidity, but I'm guessing it's similar to like the waterproof ability of it and the oil controlling properties, which are great. So she is definitely a new favorite of mine, totally worth the $40. I think it's a beautiful one, blows the Urban Decay Vice Bond out of the water. That one made me feel so bad about my skin, and this one makes me feel so good about my skin, and I just love a foundation that does that. Still looking natural, not too makeupy. It's just So good. I love it. Oh my god. But I hope you found this helpful and all the wear test helpful and enjoyable as well. Don't forget to give this video a thumbs up if you did and subscribe if you haven't already. And I will put another video on the screen here so we can keep hanging out. YouTube thinks you're gonna like this video of mine, so I will see you over there. Bye.